Texas farmers were no strangers to wild hog damage, but in recent weeks, things had escalated far beyond anything they had ever seen. Calls poured into local authorities one after another. Wild hogs were showing up inside residential neighborhoods, overturning trash cans, injuring livestock, and roaming dangerously close to homes. This had never happened before. Usually, the hogs stayed on the outskirts, tearing up crops in rural areas and retreating back into the woods. But now, they were boldly pushing into populated areas as if nothing could stop them. The city had no choice but to act. A team of professional hunters was called in, and they quickly identified the rugged mountain forest surrounding the farmlands as the hogs' likely hiding place. The terrain was steep, full of tangled brush and narrow trails that could easily conceal an entire herd. Even so, the hunters carried a major advantage: a pack of seasoned tracking dogs trained specifically for hunts like this. As soon as they entered the woods, the first bark cut through the quiet morning air. The team immediately spread out, each hunter taking a designated ambush position. Minutes later, the first gunshots erupted. From different angles, the hunters dropped several hogs in quick succession. The smell of gunpowder mixed with the sharp, echoing cries of wounded animals, rolling through the trees like waves. But that was only the beginning. The herd was far larger than anyone expected. Instead of fleeing in a single direction, the hogs scattered across the forest, turning the entire mountainside into a chaotic battlefield. Every pocket of brush seemed like a potential hiding spot, every shadow a place a hog could burst out from. While the team was sweeping through the area, a massive hog suddenly exploded out of a thicket. The moment unfolded too fast for most to react. Thankfully, the closest hunter kept his composure, raised his rifle, aimed, and fired. The shot echoed through the woods as the animal stumbled and collapsed at their feet. That brief instant reminded the entire team just how dangerous these creatures had become. The rest of the herd continued to bolt in all directions. They tore up the ground, crushed brush under their hooves, and filled the air with dust and debris. But the dogs stayed on their trail, refusing to give up. Several hogs ran straight into blocked pathways and were quickly taken down. Every shot demanded precision, as the animals moved unpredictably and disappeared behind trees in the blink of an eye. No one had time to rest. Pausing for even a moment could mean losing the herd and leaving the community at risk again. When the dogs suddenly erupted into frantic barking, the hunters rushed toward the sound. Another huge hog charged at them with unbelievable force, but it fell within seconds. The team kept pushing forward, spotting new targets and dropping several more hogs as they tried to escape through narrow forest paths. By midday, the forest finally seemed quiet. Just when the hunters thought the chase was nearing its end, something unexpected happened. On their way back toward the trucks, a huge black-haired hog burst across the trail, cutting right in front of their vehicle. The team hit the brakes and reacted instantly. The hunter raised his rifle, took aim, and fired a clean, decisive shot. The animal collapsed, its body as bulky as a prehistoric beast. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the ridge, another group of teammates had run into a different herd. These hogs tried to slip between the trees, pushing each other aside in panic. From a higher vantage point, the hunters had a clear view. They aligned their scopes, squeezed the triggers, and watched one hog stagger and fall, followed by several more. Each shot was controlled, methodical, and precise. The gunshot had barely faded when the hounds began howling again, signaling another target down in the valley. The hunting team immediately rushed toward the sound, sliding over the layer of dry leaves. At the base of the hill, another group of wild boars was trying to slip into the low brush. We moved into better positions, waited for the moment they exposed themselves, and then squeezed the triggers together, taking down a few more before they could scatter. The emergency hunt wrapped up as the sun lowered toward the horizon. Everyone was exhausted, covered in dust and sweat, but relieved. They had managed to stop the hogs before more damage could be done. The thrill of the chase was undeniable, but beneath that excitement was a very real threat. Wild hogs were no longer just agricultural pests. They were now pushing into city limits and jeopardizing human lives. Today's video comes to an end here. Thanks for sticking with us until the final moments. What do you think about this intense hunt? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next heart-pounding adventures. The once peaceful countryside of Morocco, once an oasis of tranquility, is now engulfed in chaos as wild boars proliferate throughout the region. Few can imagine the extent of destruction they cause. In just one night, the wheat fields and olive groves were torn apart, leaving behind fear and disappointment. The peacefulness of the village is now under threat, and we know that it's time to act and chase these invaders away to protect our beloved homeland. As dawn breaks, our team gathers at Nick's house. The rifles have been checked, scopes calibrated, and spare ammo is ready. We are prepared for the mission ahead. By 6:30, we enter the orange grove, observing the terrain and finalizing our movement plan. Before I could finish speaking, dark shapes darted across the field. Immediately, everyone took position, eyes focused, hearts pounding. The entire boar herd charged into the underbrush. I aimed and fired. A perfect shot. The boar fell. The first success of the day, and the crops behind us are now safe. The hunt has begun. A few boars managed to escape the first volley, running towards a narrow trail in the woods. From above, the drone spotted them sneaking through the brush. The hunting dogs closed in, driving them into a tight spot. My scope locked on. One decisive shot, and the boar fell. The teamwork between the people and the dogs delivered a flawless result, precise, effective, just as planned. Not far off, Nick noticed another boar near the trail. The boar dashed towards him, sensing his presence and becoming aggressive, ready to charge. But it was too late. Nick took aim, whispered, "It's time for you to face the end," and fired. A clean, decisive shot. The beast collapsed. I breathed a sigh of relief, watching him complete the task, restoring peace to the land once again. What do you think about that moment? Share your thoughts below. As we moved to another location, the rustling in the underbrush caught our attention. Years of experience, and the barking signal told me the target was near. I took my position and waited. As expected, the wild boar lunged from its hiding spot. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle, aimed carefully, and fired. The bullet struck its side, but it managed to run down the slope. A few minutes later, we found it lying by a field. These are the moments that test a hunter's courage and skill. And today, we once again proved that courage and precision can restore peace to this land. As the sun set, we received a call from the farmer. The wild boars had returned. We turned the truck around and rushed back to the orange grove, more determined than ever. The team spread out, tightening the encirclement. The herd charged toward Jay's ambush point. A massive boar came rushing toward us. John aimed perfectly and fired. A flawless shot. The boar dropped right on the spot. From now on, these fields will rest. No more failed crops. No more sleepless nights for the villagers. Every shot we take is a promise. Trade the rifle for peace. The confrontation ended, and the countryside could breathe in the fresh air. We returned in the 2025 Ford Ranger, the truck bed loaded with wild boars, and our hearts heavy but filled with joy knowing we had protected the community. That's the end of the video. If today's hunt got your heart racing, leave a comment to let us know how you felt. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and watch more thrilling wilderness hunts. See you in the next video. I still remember that morning clearly. Fog covered the entire valley, and the ground beneath our feet was still damp. We were standing on a small rise, looking at the patches of soil that had been torn up near the forest edge. The hunting dogs started barking wildly, pulling hard against their leashes in sheer excitement. Just a few seconds later, from the thick brush below, a massive herd of wild boars burst out and charged straight toward us. Their speed was so sudden that our entire team barely had time to react. I raised my rifle, my hands trembling slightly as the adrenaline kicked in, holding my breath as I waited for the right moment. When a massive boar suddenly veered left, lowering its head to bolt for an escape route, I pulled the trigger. A sharp crack echoed out, and the animal dropped instantly. But the rest of the herd kept rushing forward like a raging wave. In that moment, I realized I had just stepped into a hunt that would be anything but easy. Wild boar in this region multiply at an astonishing rate. In just a few years, their numbers have surged, spilling into farmland, tearing up crops, and even threatening livestock. Families living on ranches along the forest edge can barely sleep at night because of the constant sounds of boars slamming into fences or ripping up pastures. That's why we're here, not for the thrill of the hunt, but to protect what little peace is left in a place that has sustained generations. Right after the first shot, our team quickly spread out, moving in a wide arc around the low hill. Large, round hoofprints pressed deep into the mud led us to a narrow trail where dry leaves had been scattered. I crouched down, placing my hand on a fresh scrape. The soil was still warm. The herd had passed through just moments ago. We released the dogs and let them take the lead. It didn't take long before urgent barking echoed from the hillside, signaling that they had found the target. Reached the spot, a massive boar stood blocking the thicket, its eyes burning with anger. It stepped back a few paces, then suddenly charged like an arrow. I could feel the ground trembling under my feet as it picked up speed. In that split second, I raised my rifle, pressed the stock tight against my shoulder, and fired. The bullet hit it square in the chest. The animal staggered, took a few unsteady steps, and collapsed. I stayed frozen for a few seconds to make sure it wasn't moving, my breath coming out heavy and tight from the adrenaline. If you were in the same situation, how would you handle a charging boar? Would you stay calm and take the shot, or try to dodge out of the way? Share your thoughts in the comments. As we moved deeper in, the scene grew even more startling. Tree trunks were covered in bite marks, patches of soil had been torn wide open, clear signs that this was a gathering spot for large herds of wild boar. We climbed onto a small rise to get a better view. From there, beneath the thin canopy, I spotted several dark shapes weaving through the brush in search of food. Our team split up, moving quietly and keeping a safe distance. I chose a spot behind a large tree where I had a clear view of a boar engrossed in foraging. As it moved closer, I steadied my rifle and pulled the trigger. The animal dropped instantly, its heavy body hitting the ground.
But we weren't about
to
let them get away that.
A moment later, a new signal came through our team's radio. On the eastern edge of the forest, they had spotted another entire herd gathering around an open clearing. We immediately moved in that direction. When we arrived, we saw at least 7 or 8 boars tearing up the ground. Once everyone was in position, the gunshots rang out almost at the same time. The whole herd panicked, and a few were taken down in the first volley. Another one tried to dash into the bushes, but I managed to take aim and finish it with a clean shot. After a few minutes, the forest fell silent again, leaving only the sound of the wind moving through the leaves. way back, we heard the dogs barking fiercely behind a line of trees. Instinct told us something was happening. We moved toward the sound immediately. A large wild boar had been pushed into a dead end, but there was no fear in its eyes, only defiance. It tried to find a way out, but the dogs had it completely surrounded. I stepped forward, raised my rifle, and ended it with a quick shot, not giving the animal any chance to fight back. As the sun slipped behind the mountains, we regrouped on an open patch of ground to tally the results of the day's hunt. For me, the true value of trips like this isn't in how many wild boars we take down, but in knowing we're helping maintain some balance in this land. Even though the struggle with these growing herds will continue tomorrow, at least today we did everything we could to protect this place. Today's hunt comes to an end here. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next thrilling adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the upcoming videos. I still remember that morning clearly. Fog covered the entire valley, and the ground beneath our feet was still damp. We were standing on a small rise, looking at the patches of soil that had been torn up near the forest edge. The hunting dogs started barking wildly, pulling hard against their leashes in sheer excitement. Just a few seconds later, from the thick brush below, a massive herd of wild boars burst out and charged straight toward us. Their speed was so sudden that our entire team barely had time to react. I raised my rifle, my hands trembling slightly as the adrenaline kicked in, holding my breath as I waited for the right moment. When a massive boar suddenly veered left, lowering its head to bolt for an escape route, I pulled the trigger. A sharp crack echoed out, and the animal dropped instantly. But the rest of the herd kept rushing forward like a raging wave. In that moment, I realized I had just stepped into a hunt that would be anything but easy. wild boar in this region multiply at an astonishing rate. In just a few years, their numbers have surged, spilling into farmland, tearing up crops, and even threatening livestock. Families living on ranches along the forest edge can barely sleep at night because of the constant sounds of boars slamming into fences or ripping up pastures. That's why we're here, not for the thrill of the hunt, but to protect what little piece is left in a place that has sustained generations. Right after the first shot, our team quickly spread out, moving in a wide arc around the low hill. Large, round hoofprints pressed deep into the mud led us to a narrow trail where dry leaves had been scattered. I crouched down, placing my hand on a fresh scrape. The soil was still warm. The herd had passed through just moments ago. We released the dogs and let them take the lead. It didn't take long before urgent barking echoed from the hillside, signaling that they had found the target. When I reached the spot, a massive boar stood blocking the thicket, its eyes burning with anger. It stepped back a few paces, then suddenly charged like an arrow. I could feel the ground trembling under my feet as it picked up speed. In that split second, I raised my rifle, pressed the stock tight against my shoulder, and fired. The bullet hit it square in the chest. The animal staggered, took a few unsteady steps, then collapsed. I stayed frozen for a few seconds to make sure it wasn't moving, my breath coming out heavy and tight from the adrenaline. If you were in the same situation, how would you handle a charging boar? Would you stay calm and take the shot, or try to dodge out of the way? Share your thoughts in the comments. As we moved deeper in, the scene grew even more startling. Tree trunks were covered in bite marks, patches of soil had been torn wide open, clear signs that this was a gathering spot for large herds of wild boar. We climbed onto a small rise to get a better view. From there, beneath the thin canopy, I spotted several dark shapes weaving through the brush in search of food. Our team split up, moving quietly and keeping a safe distance. I chose a spot behind a large tree where I had a clear view of a boar engrossed in foraging. As it moved closer, I steadied my rifle and pulled the trigger. The animal dropped instantly, its heavy body hitting the ground with a thud. A moment later, a new signal came through our team's radio. On the eastern edge of the forest, they had spotted another entire herd gathering around an open clearing. We immediately moved in that direction. When we arrived, we saw at least 7 or 8 boars tearing up the ground. Once everyone was in position, the gunshots rang out almost at the same time. The whole herd panicked, and a few were taken down in the first volley. Another one tried to dash into the bushes, but I managed to take aim and finish it with a clean shot. After a few minutes, the forest fell silent again, leaving only the sound of the wind moving through the leaves. On the way back, We heard the dogs barking fiercely behind a line of trees. Instinct told us something was happening. We moved toward the sound immediately. A large wild boar had been pushed into a dead end, but there was no fear in its eyes, only defiance. It tried to find a way out, but the dogs had it completely surrounded. I stepped forward, raised my rifle, and ended it with a quick shot, not giving the animal any chance to fight back. As the sun slipped behind the mountains, we regrouped on an open patch of ground to tally the results of the day's hunt. For me, the true value of trips like this isn't in how many wild boars we take down, but in knowing we're helping maintain some balance in this land. Even though the struggle with these growing herds will continue tomorrow, at least today we did everything we could to protect this place. Today's hunt comes to an end here. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next thrilling adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the upcoming videos. Days passed, yet many wild boars still managed to evade the traps we had carefully set. The damage was devastating. More than 2 hectares of farmland destroyed, with estimated losses reaching nearly $30 million. After several failed attempts with traps, our team decided to change tactics. With weapons in hand, we stepped directly onto the battlefield. From that moment on, it was no longer a simple chase. It became a fierce battle of wits between hunters and prey to restore peace for the local people. Do you think we will succeed? Stay tuned. This time, our destination was the vast sugarcane fields of southern Spain, where dense stalks provided both food and cover for the boars. But today, the once tranquil land grew busy with our presence, seasoned hunters ready for action. We moved cautiously, each step deliberate, our eyes scanning the ground and the cane stalks before us. Was there a sound? Suddenly, a large herd of wild boars burst out. Surprised, but not unprepared. Years of training took over. Our lightning-fast shots dropped them the moment they appeared. The tracker at my side began to vibrate relentlessly, alarms blaring. I tightened my grip on the rifle, ready for anything. Within a minute, rustling shattered the silence. Another shadow appeared. A few well-timed shots brought the situation under control. The rush of emotion was indescribable. Not just the satisfaction of completing the task, but the triumph of human skill fused with technology. At the field's edge, where the grass was shorter, we knew boars would show up. We had prepared an ambush. As expected, a massive one emerged. A sharp crack echoed, the beast went down, and relief swept through the group. Joy erupted, the reward for our precision and teamwork, a 150-kilogram wild boar subdued. As we approached James's position, the dog suddenly barked, sharper, more urgent this time. Without hesitation, I pushed through the cane, deeper inside. Every decision mattered now. James appeared ahead. He pulled the trigger. A clean shot ended the chase. Could you feel the suspense of that decisive moment? There was no time to hesitate. A few hundred meters further, we heard more rustling. Every sense sharpened, fixed on the sound. A boar charged into my sights, but it was too late. A single shot ended the pursuit. The hunter's skills, I believe, are the true key to success, forged in countless drills, ingrained in every hand holding a rifle. Just as the journey seemed to be ending, the dogs once again proved their worth. With keen noses, they tracked the boar's unique scent. However clever the prey's hiding, it could not escape those determined hounds. Once more, peace was briefly restored to this land. Stay tuned for more to come, and if you have any thoughts, don't hesitate to share. Texas, Alabama, Georgia, across the entire American South, people are still battling their most relentless destroyer. Massive herds of wild hogs that no one can fully control. They tear up cornfields, ruin grazing pastures, smash fences, and throw countless families' lives into chaos. Electric fences, once considered the last hope, have become nothing more than a weak boundary. Even warning shots no longer scare them off. With every defense failing, residents have no choice but to call us, the hunters who specialize in tracking this destructive species. We arrived at the farm early in the morning, walking across ground that had been torn apart, covered in deep, uneven wild hog tracks. The smell of freshly upturned soil still lingered. It was obvious the herd had swept through here the night before. Seeing the fields in ruins, we knew today's job wouldn't be easy. We quickly agreed on a strategy and set out just as the sunlight began to spill over the hills. The hounds ran ahead, sniffing non-stop. We followed a narrow trail leading into the nearby woods. The ground was covered in fresh rooting marks, proof that the herd was still close. Gnawed tree trunks and patches of overturned soil showed up one after another along the path. Not long after, the hounds suddenly growled and charged toward a thick patch of brush. Instinctively, we spread out, each of us taking a strategic position. From the tall grass, a full-grown wild hog burst out without warning. We raised our rifles at the same time. One member of the team pulled the trigger, the shot echoing through the corner of the woods. The animal dropped after a few final stomps. We had barely regrouped when the dogs picked up new signs. A larger herd was gathering near a patch of damp soil in the valley below. We moved in that direction, our steps quickening. From a distance, dark, glossy backs began to appear. The wild hogs were busy digging through the ground, completely unaware that we were closing in on them. We split into two groups, one circling left while the other held the right flank. Once everyone was in position, we opened fire at the same moment. The herd exploded into chaos, kicking up mud as they scattered. One large hog tried to escape through a line of trees, but I managed to cut off its path. I stayed calm, aimed carefully, and squeezed the trigger. It dropped instantly. The smell of soil, sweat, and the sound of heavy breathing blended together, creating an indescribably tense atmosphere. Just when we thought things had settled down, the gun smoke hadn't even cleared when we spotted fresh signs. Another herd was moving west toward a large feeding area that stretched to the hillside. We followed their trail, crossing patches of rough, rocky ground. By late morning, we stumbled upon a scene that made all of us freeze for a few seconds. A massive herd of wild hogs was crowded around piles of spilled feed. There were so many of them that the ground seemed to tremble with every step they took. Their bristling hair, heavy gait, and alert eyes made them look like a small army. I knew this would be the most critical moment of today's hunt. We hid behind a row of large tree trunks, each of us choosing a target. When the signal came, the whole team opened fire at once. Sharp, crisp shots echoed one after another, scattering the herd like water hitting a barrier. One hog after another dropped onto the dusty ground. Others tried to run toward the open area, but the ambush team was already waiting there. The near-perfect coordination allowed us to keep up the pressure, giving the wild hogs no chance to regroup. We swept our scopes toward the left side of the field and spotted another herd moving in. Young hogs ran among the adults, seemingly unaware of the danger closing in. We shifted our ambush positions, keeping our focus razor sharp. I found the perfect angle and dropped the largest one with a clean, single shot. More shots followed in quick succession, taking down several others.
Stands firm, but it's a blow later, and the beast falls.
Even after hours of non-stop action, exhaustion wasn't an excuse to let my guard down. Wild hogs are far too smart and stubborn for anyone to get careless. Before wrapping up, the whole team swept the area one last time. At the edge of the field, a few final hogs appeared. I took the opportunity and dropped several more, easing the pressure on the farm for the days ahead. As the sun began to dip, I finally let out a long breath. The number of hogs taken down today won't erase the threat entirely, but it's enough to give the locals a bit of safety for now. Dust clung to my clothes, sweat soaked through my shirt, but a sense of relief settled in as I looked back at what we'd accomplished. Today's wild hog hunt comes to an end here. Which moment of this pursuit impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next intense hunting story. Early in the morning on the outskirts of Oklahoma, the alarm bells of a western ranch rang intensely. A herd of wild boars had broken through the fence, ravaged the young cornfields, and rushed deep into the forest. There was no time to hesitate. The hunting team immediately set out in a Ram 1500 TRX, heading north under the captain's orders. They quickly split into smaller units, following the main trail. From that moment, the pursuit officially began. Every movement had to be fast, precise, and fully controlled. Not a single animal was allowed to return to the fields. Just a few minutes after entering the forest edge, the hunting dogs barked sharply. A mature wild boar suddenly burst through the tall grass toward the hillside. I quickly followed it to a small lake, adjusting my aim. The target moved constantly, forcing me to act quickly. A warning shot echoed. The next shot hit the mark, causing the boar to fall instantly. The team quickly secured the area before advancing deeper. The previous gunshot had startled the rest of the herd. From within the woods, several dark shapes dashed away almost simultaneously. The captain immediately adjusted the strategy. One shooter circled to the right while the central group held their position. The following shots were released with control, striking the boars attempting to escape through the dense bushes. We kept a steady pace while remaining cautious to avoid loud noises that could alert distant groups. The scout sent a signal via iPhone 17 Pro Max, reporting new tracks. Through the headset, the captain whispered, "Only shoot when you have a clear line of sight." The first shot from the shooter beside me hit the lead boar, causing the area to fall silent for a few seconds. No one in the team relaxed. We stayed in position, listening to movement signals. A few minutes later, the device indicated another boar circling west. I immediately shifted direction, running along a narrow dirt path toward a dry bush. There, its shadow appeared, smaller than expected, moving just over 10 meters away. A crisp gunshot rang out. The bullet hit accurately, completely disabling the target. I approached to confirm, and there was no resistance left. The giant boar had been handled safely, preventing damage to the nearby farmland. After that, I returned to the team and moved toward an open area between two forests. There, a dark figure was sprinting rapidly in search of food. To prevent it from reaching the cornfield ahead, the captain signaled to fire. We advanced from the downwind side, avoiding any scent reaching the boar. When it lifted its head, a precise shot was taken, quickly securing the target. Another threat was resolved smoothly. Fatigue began to set in after hours of pursuit, and the captain decided to withdraw. But on the way out, a lone boar suddenly appeared near a barren patch of land. It moved slowly but was extremely cautious, requiring a delicate approach. The captain chose a safe tactic: keep distance and use a long-range scope. Once everything was under control, a clean shot concluded the morning hunt. Before leaving the area, the entire team performed a final inspection. No signs of intrusion remained. The hunt was completed perfectly, safely, and in full compliance with U.S. hunting regulations. Today's trip was not just a hunting journey. It was a mission to protect crops and safeguard the ranch, an important responsibility entrusted to us by the local community. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like the video, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel to follow more thrilling forest hunts. See you in the next adventures!